Okay. Now we're doing an experiment. I put yeast in some warm water. Okay. Now you'll see it even with just the yeast in the warm water, it'll start to bubble. Okay. But like anything that is alive, it's got to be fed. Okay. So we're going to feed it. We're going to give it a couple. We're going to give it a couple tablespoons of sugar. Okay.
Can I please move my chair?
I'm going to get out of your way so you can see right now in a second. Okay. So we're going to put it. We're going to put a little bit of sugar in there. Okay. Then we're going to shake it around a little bit more, get it mixed up.
Honestly, whatever you sugar around,
Okay.
That looks like some healthy, like, smoothie. No, that looks like,
Get it stretched out a little bit.
Here's Brady. Brady's not.
Okay.
I thought Brady.
Okay. Now, we're just going to leave it alone for a few minutes. And we're going to go up here and take a look at something else. Okay? Okay?
No.
Well, hopefully. All right, now. Stop. All right, we've got.
Did you draw that?
I did. We've got a plant and we got a goldfish. Are they anything alike? They're alive. They're both alive. Okay? So, in order for something to be alive, what do you have to have? Okay? You've got to have water. You've got to have energy. Food. Okay. Can y'all see that? What that beautiful artwork there? That was okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. You can see I did not major in film. Okay. Okay. All right. So how do we know they're alive? Okay. How do we know?
Because they have
What do you think?
Because they grow and
Okay. They do grow. They grow. What?
they move.
They can move. Okay. All right. They grow. Both of these are capable of reproducing. Okay. And they both use energy. Okay. This one uses energy from the sun to grow. This one is you feed it. Okay. And that serves as the energy. Something else that anything alive does, they have waste. Okay. And believe it or not, even a plant has waste. Okay. So every living being does that also. Okay. All right. I know. Isn't that disgusting? Let me get my book.
Yes, and it's like.
It'll take about 15
No,
minutes.
look at all that stuff I've been seeing on the drum.
And that's if it works. There's no guarantees. All right. Now, so today's thing is there life beyond Earth? Okay. Now, when we talk about life beyond Earth, we have a tendency to think about little green men, things like that. Okay. Okay. And that's not what we're talking about, though. We're not talking about little green men.
Talk about bacteria.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking about bacteria, microorganisms, things like that. That's what we're talking about.
Like, is it
Um,
aren't there like one of the moons, like says like water on it?
Well, and that's what we're going to talk about, okay? Most of the Antarctic, and we're going to talk about, this is on page 108, tells me how most of the Antarctic is covered with snow and ice, but you would not expect to see rocks lying on top of the whiteness, okay? But, surprisingly, people have indeed found rocks lying on the Antarctic ice, okay? When scientists examined the rock, they found that many were meteorites, okay? A few of these meteorites came from Mars. Something probably came by, brushed up against Mars, kept on coming, or possibly impacted Mars. Part of it impacted Mars, the other part of it kept coming. And it actually came through the Earth's atmosphere. It didn't burn up, and it landed up at the Antarctic. And they actually found pieces of meteorite laying up there, okay? In 1976, a team of scientists announced that a meteorite from Mars had been found in the Antarctic, had tiny shapes that looked like fossils, okay? And the remains, that would be the remains of ancient life preserved in a rock, though much smaller. Now, most of the scientists doubted that the shapes really are fossils, but if they are, it would be a sign of microscopic life forms similar to bacteria once existed on Mars, okay? And of course, we all know life other than what's on Earth is called extraterrestrial life. And when we think about that, we think about all the horror movies with the, the monsters and all that stuff from outer space. That's not what we're talking about. Yes?
Wait, how do they know the meteor came from Mars?
They have samples of Mars. I mean, we've got rovers and things up there. We have sent probes up. So we actually have an idea that it was the same type of material from Mars. Okay, but that's an excellent question. How did they know that? Okay. All right. So here's sometimes it's hard to tell whether something is alive or not. Okay, but all living things on Earth have several characteristics in common. Live things makes up one or more cells. Okay, so they got to have one or more cells. Okay, living things takes in energy, and they use that to grow and develop. They reproduce, and producing new living things of the same type. Okay, and then living things also gives off waste. Now, I find it amusing that we talk about how living things, they have to produce
More living things.
more of the same, what they are. Like this plant is going to produce more of these plants. Okay? He's not going to produce an oak tree or a car. Okay? Or a human. It's going to be this. If the goldfish mates, it's just going to have more goldfish. It's not going to, there's not going to be a shark swimming around in that tank one day. Okay? That's just not the way it works. Okay? So God had a plan there. Okay? Then you got the Goldilocks. Is it doing anything yet?
Yeah, it's working on it.
Is
I
it?
can see it like moving on it.
Okay.
This one's too.
All right, the Goldilocks condition. Okay. Now, no one knows whether life exists anywhere other than Earth. But scientists talks about the conditions needed by life as we know it. Okay. Earth has liquid water and a suitable temperature range in the atmosphere for living things to survive. And they refer to that as, stop, pay attention to me, pay attention. Scientists refer to that as the Goldilocks syndrome, okay? Okay?
The light bulb.
It's really kind of sad that can hold your attention over the teacher. Okay? I don't know if that speaks volumes about you or me. Okay, now, of course, some of you wouldn't pay attention if it could just be a ball laying over there and you would be completely gone. Okay? So the Goldilocks condition is if Earth was much hotter, okay, if the temperature was too hot and it's not too cold, so it's just right. Okay, it's not too hot, not too cold, it's just right. Okay, and they refer to it, because that's right out of the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Okay, so are the conditions necessary for life, or are they just the condition that Earth living things happen to need? Okay, and that's been the debate since before I was born, probably. If there can't be life on other planets because no other planet is like Earth. Well, what says other life has to be like us? Okay, so. It's one of those things. Okay. Now, recently, scientists have actually discovered living things in places where it was once believed that life could not exist. Okay. They found giant tube worms have been found under the extremely high pressures at the bottom of the ocean. They didn't think anything could survive that far down. Okay, but these things did. Okay. Single-cell organisms have been found in near boiling temperatures of hot springs. Okay. That should have killed them off, but it didn't. Okay. Yes.
There was on the news like a couple years ago, someone died because of amoeba.
Oh yeah, I saw that in Texas.
Crawling through the air.
like if you slow
Hey
down
guys,
more.
I know this is gonna be a shocker to you. He's trying to talk to me and I got zippers and you talking and I can't hear him.
So it went in for her ear and it went from brain and started like eating it and then he died.
We're talking about brain eating
Oh,
organisms that climb into
I've
your
heard of
ear.
that.
Sleep well tonight. All right, now, I got one even better than that, okay? In 2017, okay? 2017. The International Space Station is somewhere between 205 and 270 miles in space, okay? So it's not way out there, but it's far enough, okay? On the outside window of the International Space Station, they found sea plankton alive
From the ocean?
from the ocean.
Where?
It was marine sea plankton. They are, okay? They have a number of theories on how it got there, but
I think someone just
it
took it
was
up
there, okay?
Oh my god.
Okay? Yes,
What is that?
plankton lives,
The yeast is coming up.
plankton is a microscopic, if we get to go on our field trip this year, that is one of the things that you will do. You will take a drop of water and put it on a slide and look at it through a high-powered microscope, and you will see little living creatures that are in that water.
Wait, we drink creatures?
You
They're
do?
in my body?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people, there are creatures living in the pores of your skin.
We
right
drink
now.
it out of our body.
When we get to marine biology, we'll also talk about the sand that we play in and roll around in at the beach. It's got little living creatures all in it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, baby, they're
Beach is
everywhere.
my favorite
All right.
place and I don't want to change that.
Now, is there life somewhere else in the solar system? Mars, we keep talking about Mars is more similar to Earth. They think that at one point in time there was water on Mars. They have a number of things that indicates that there probably was. They have found regions on the surface of Mars that looks like steam beds and crisscrossing paths of water. You see that picture there on 110. You can't, I mean, if you and I just looked at that picture, we're like, yeah, okay. But that's what scientists says it is. Since life as we know it requires water, scientists hypothesize that Mars may have once had conditions needed for life to exist. Now again, we're not talking man necessarily, but we're talking just microorganisms and things of that nature, okay? In 1976, twin Viking spaceships or spacecraft reached Mars. Each of the Viking's landers carried a small laboratory meant to search for life forms. And these laboratories tested Mars's air and soil for signs of life, and they didn't find anything. Okay, nothing showed any evidence of life. Okay? Most recently, the Spirit and the Opportunity rovers found rocks and other surface features on Mars that were certainly formed by liquid water. However, the rovers were not equipped to search for past or present life. So they're probably 99.9% sure at one point in time there was water on Mars. They've yet to find any proof that there was life on Mars, okay? But there was water, and if there's water, then the hypothesis is then there possibly was microorganism life of some form up there. Yes?
This is a bit off topic, but didn't they like find ice on the moon? Like on the moon?
Mice?
Ice.
Oh.
Only if it's made of cheese, okay?
I feel like it said mice. Space Journal.
I mean, it's like Mars. Mars has ice at the caps. That indicates there was probably water
Which indicates it was
or something, there's some kind of liquid there. Otherwise, it wouldn't have frozen. Because it's not cold enough for gases to freeze. Okay. Let's see. They also think Europa, okay? That's one of Jupiter's moons, if you remember. They think condition might be good for life to be there too. It has icy crust, giant cracks. They're pretty sure there's an ocean underneath some of that ice. And they're actually trying to figure out a way to get a probe there to drill down into that just to see if there is water. Okay, so they think there might be like an ocean there. So if there's liquid water on Europa, then there probably is life also, and that's where they're headed. Okay. So now there's not any homework questions on that, which means there's not going to be any test questions on that right there. But we're going to walk over here now. We'll take a look at our handy dandy. Okay, our balloon is filling up now. The reason that's filling up, okay, if you look at the yeast, okay, the yeast is rising. The warm water activates it. Okay, that activates it. It brings it to life. I mean, yeast is actually alive. It's a microorganism. It's actually alive. The warm water kind of gets it going. I fed it sugar. It likes sugar. Okay, as you can see. The yeast itself is rising, okay? It's multiplied tremendously. But what is causing the balloon? What do you think?
Is it because it's breathing?
You're close. What do you think?
I think because like the pressure of the yeast is pushing up into the balloon, and if you took the balloon like off of it, would the yeast go back down?
We're going to find out. That's a good point, but that's not quite what it is. What do you think?
I think that the yeast in the water is taking up more and more space and pushing that air up into the balloon, maybe.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? What do you think, Andrew?
Or it's like creating air and it's pushing it up.
Okay, creating air. You're close. It's burping. It's giving off gas. It's creating carbon dioxide.
Don't do it.
No, don't say it.
Don't.
Okay, it's creating carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is blowing the balloon up because it's trying to escape, and gas is light, so it rises. Okay, we talked about that. It rises up. Well, the only place to go is through the hole in the top of the bottle. Well, the balloon is catching it. So we have carbon dioxide inside that balloon is what's happening. Okay? Because it's actually giving off waste. It's living. I fed it. It grew. Now it's giving off waste. Okay? That's what it's doing. It's classified as a living microorganism. Okay? Now, Seth asked a great question. Seth asked a great question. What happens if I take the balloon off? Does this go back down?
It'll all
Okay.
splatter in
No,
the
it won't pop. I mean, it might. It's not going to be easy to get off because it's full. But
It's just gonna go back down.
I might pull it off, and there might be enough carbon dioxide in here to kill us all. Oh my gosh! Because it's poisonous to man.
Wait, if you let the balloon,
That's nice to know.
if you let the balloon go once you have carbon dioxide.
There's not enough in here to do anything. Also, not enough in here to get off the.
I don't think it'll come back down, so it'll
I
just.
might have to cut it to get it off.
You just probably it is.
Just bite it.
Whoa, look at that. The yeast like stayed on the top, like on the.
Semper Uvis.
It's not even touching it.
It didn't do anything.
Actually, it fell back down.
It died. Yeah, it did.
It fell back down.
It died.
Okay.
It had a great
So the yeast fell back down into the water.
You just put like super hot water in there, like put a ton of sugar in there and a ton of yeast.
Kill it.
So that means when we eat over that eating yeast.
When you eat yeast, you are eating microorganisms. All right. Hope you found that somewhat interesting today. Don't forget to review for your test.